Have you ever wondered about the chaotic period of Israel's history depicted in the Book of Judges? This ancient tome tells tales of a time when Israel had no king, and everyone did as they saw fit. A time of tumult, turbulence, and transformation. It's a period that's as fascinating as it is perplexing. The Book of Judges, nestled comfortably between the conquest narratives of Joshua and the establishment of monarchy in Samuel, offers us an intriguing window into this bygone era. It presents a unique cycle of sin, punishment, repentance, and deliverance that characterizes the life of Israel during this phase. This book, rich with historical and theological detail, is structured around the exploits of 12 judges. These were leaders, warriors, prophets, and sometimes flawed individuals who were divinely chosen to deliver Israel from the hands of their oppressors. The time period, though not precisely defined, spans several centuries, from the death of Joshua to the establishment of monarchy. It's a time marked by a distinct pattern of Israelite disobedience and apostasy, followed by divine retribution, and eventually deliverance by a divinely appointed judge. The themes that the Book of Judges grapples with are as varied as they are profound. It explores the consequences of disobedience and the merciful nature of God. It delves into the complexities of human nature, the concept of leadership, and the importance of faith and obedience. But it's not just a historical or theological text. It's a collection of deeply human stories filled with intrigue, conflict, heroism, and redemption. Each tale is a piece of the puzzle, offering us glimpses into the enigma that is the Book of Judges. So, prepare to embark on a journey into the past. A journey where we'll explore these stories, examine the lives of these judges, and attempt to understand the lessons they hold for us today. As we delve deeper, we'll unravel the complex tales and moral lessons hidden in this ancient text. The Book of Judges portrays a recurring cycle of apostasy, oppression, deliverance, and peace. But what does this mean? Let's dive in, shall we? The cycle begins with apostasy, a fancy term that essentially means a total desertion or departure from one's religion. In this context, the Israelites time and again turned away from God. They would abandon their faith, fall into idolatry and sin, and break the covenant they had with their Creator. This was the first step in the cycle, the step of apostasy. Next, we come to oppression. As a response to their disobedience, God would allow foreign oppressors to come and subjugate the Israelites. These oppressors could be neighboring nations or distant empires, but the result was the same. The Israelites, once proud and free, would find themselves under the thumb of oppressive rulers. This was God's way of punishing his people for their disobedience, the step of oppression. But God, in his mercy, would not abandon his people entirely. When the Israelites cried out in their suffering, he heard their pleas. This brings us to the third step of the cycle, deliverance. God would raise up judges, men and women of faith and courage, to liberate the Israelites from their oppressors. These judges, inspired and empowered by God, would lead the people back to their faith and defeat their oppressors. Finally, we reach the last step of the cycle, peace. After the deliverance by a judge, the Israelites would enjoy a period of peace and prosperity. They would worship God and live according to his laws, and all would be well. But as we've seen, this peace was temporary. Eventually, the Israelites would fall back into apostasy, and the cycle would begin anew. This cycle, repeating itself over and over, sets the stage for the various narratives in the Book of Judges. Through this cycle, we see a pattern of human frailty, divine judgment, and God's mercy and deliverance. It's a compelling, sobering, and ultimately hopeful tale of people and their relationship with the divine. The judges were not merely arbitrators, but deliverers chosen by God. Who were they? Let's delve into the lives and legacies of these remarkable individuals. There were 12 judges in total, each hailing from different tribes of Israel, each rising to liberate their people from various oppressors. We have Othniel, the first judge from the tribe of Judah, who delivered Israel from the king of Aram Naharaim. Ehud of Benjamin, a left-handed warrior, liberated his people from the Moabite king Eglon. And who could forget Shamgar, who slew 600 Philistines with an ox goad? Among these 12, standouts include the prophetess Deborah from the tribe of Ephraim. She, along with Barak, led a successful campaign against the Canaanite king Jabin and his military commander Sisera. Her story is a testament to the power of faith and the strength of a woman's resolve. Then there's Gideon of the tribe of Manasseh, a man of humble origins, who with only 300 men defeated a vast Midianite army. His story is one of courage, resourcefulness, and divine intervention. We also have Jephthah from the tribe of Gilead, a social outcast turned military leader, who overcame the Ammonites. His life is a stark reminder of the power of redemption and the price of rash vows. And of course, we cannot forget Samson from the tribe of Dan, a man of extraordinary strength and tragic flaws. His struggle against the Philistines is a tale of personal failure and divine forgiveness. These judges, though flawed and human, were instruments of divine deliverance. Each one, in their unique way, rose to the occasion and fought for their people's liberation. They were more than just arbitrators or leaders. They were the beacon of hope in the darkest hours of Israel's history. Each judge, unique in their methods and circumstances, brought deliverance to Israel in times of distress. Let their stories inspire us to be courageous and steadfast in our own battles. Among these judges, Gideon's story stands out. An unlikely hero, he is a testament to God's power and wisdom. In the heart of the book of Judges, we stumble upon an ordinary man named Gideon, a farmer by profession who was just going about his daily routine when the divine call found him. He was threshing wheat in a winepress, hiding from the oppressive Midianites, when an angel of the Lord appeared to him. The angel hailed him as a mighty warrior and told him that he was chosen by God to save Israel from the Midianites. Gideon, however, was not immediately convinced. He was skeptical, even reluctant, asking why such calamities had befallen them if God was with them. He asked for a sign, a reassurance that it was indeed the Lord speaking to him. The angel agreed, setting fire to the food Gideon brought as an offering. This initial sign was just the beginning of Gideon's journey to belief. Still, Gideon wasn't entirely convinced. He asked for another sign, this time involving a fleece of wool. He requested that the fleece be wet with dew while the ground around it remained dry, and then vice versa. The Lord humored him, and the fleece was wet while the ground remained dry. Then the fleece was dry while the ground was wet. This solidified Gideon's faith, and he finally accepted his divine calling. But the true marvel of Gideon's story was his victory over the Midianites. He started with an army of thousands, but God whittled them down to just 300 men to demonstrate that it was his power, not human strength, that would bring victory. And indeed, with just these 300 men, Gideon defeated the Midianite army, a feat that was nothing short of miraculous. Gideon's story, while filled with miracles and victories, is also a tale of human doubt and God's reassurance. It's a story that shows us how God can use the most ordinary of people in extraordinary ways, turning even the most reluctant of heroes into instruments of his divine plan. The book of Judges and Gideon's story are not mere historical accounts. They are packed with lessons relevant even today. They unfold a tapestry of human nature, faith, obedience, and the consequences of turning our backs on what is right. They also beautifully highlight God's mercy and deliverance, even in times of rebellion and disobedience. One of the key lessons drawn from the book of Judges is the cyclical pattern of disobedience and repentance. Israel's people would stray, face the consequences of their actions, call out to God in desperation, and then be delivered by a judge. This cycle serves as a stark reminder to us today about the dangers of straying from our moral compass and the path of righteousness. Next, we delve into Gideon's story, a tale of an unlikely hero. A man initially doubtful and full of questions, Gideon becomes a beacon of faith and bravery. His transformation from a timid wheat thresher to a victorious leader teaches us that God can use anyone, regardless of their status or capabilities, to accomplish great things. The story also underscores the significance of obedience. Gideon, despite his doubts, follows God's commands even when they seemed illogical, like reducing his army to a mere 300 men. His obedience resulted in a miraculous victory, reminding us that faithfulness in following God's instructions, even when they seem absurd, can lead to extraordinary outcomes. These narratives also expose the dangers of idolatry. The Israelites' repeated turn to false gods brought them pain and suffering, a clear warning against placing anything above God in our lives. Lastly, these stories illuminate God's infinite mercy and deliverance. Despite the Israelites' repeated rebellion, God never abandoned them. He consistently raised up judges to deliver them from their oppressors. underscoring his unwavering love and commitment to his people. As we reflect on these ancient stories, we are reminded of God's unchanging nature and his relentless pursuit of his people, even in their rebellion.